Hi everyone, my name is Maida and I wanted to do a quick video to talk about what it is that I do working from home. I am what you call a transaction coordinator. I work in the real estate industry. I am what you would call, I guess, the middleman for escrow, the agents, the lenders, the clients. And what I do is I make sure that we have everything in order with the forms, make sure we have signatures, initials on forms, make sure dates are filled in correctly. And I keep track of the timelines for the transaction from start to closing. I also help agents with their listings, getting their listings set up. Which includes ordering the post and sign to be put on the property, sending any forms to the client or the seller to sign, to fill out, any forms that are necessary to list, and ordering reports from title. So it's different in every state. There could be, some states deal with escrow, some states deal with attorneys, so it depends on where you're at. So the way that I came about becoming a transaction coordinator is when we were living in California and we were getting ready to move to Washington. We hired an agent to help us find a house, and we found a house, opened escrow, went through the process, and during that process I was keeping track of the timelines and just on top of things and talking to escrow, talking to my agent, talking to our lender. And our agent mentioned that when I get here that I should look into becoming a transaction coordinator, which I had no idea what that was. I had never heard of it. And I even did some real estate as far as investing and stuff in California, but I had never heard of a transaction coordinator. So I decided to look into that. And so we got here to Washington, and I decided to sign up for some real estate classes to get my license here, which I believe was 60 hours of classes. So I signed up for that. I also signed up I already had the Nextdoor app that I was using in California, but I joined the area where I live now. And in that process, I ran into somebody that lived in my neighborhood who happened to be a real estate agent. So I connected with her, and she was really nice and asked if I was going to become an agent. And I said, well, I'm taking my classes to get my license, yes. So she offered if I wanted to join her team in the brokerage that she was with. And of course I said yes. So went through the process of getting my license. I took my sweet time because we had some other things going on, and it just took me a while. Finally took my test, passed my first time in October of 2018. So I let my now friend, agent know that I got my license. So we went through the process of adding me to her brokerage, and she said, hey, why don't you try being a real estate agent first, see how you like it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Because I just wasn't really sure how I was going to start the transaction coordination process, and it kind of I kind of forgot about it because it took me about a year to go through my class with everything going on in our lives at the time. So I started doing real estate as a buyer's agent in 2019, or the end of 2018, started training. 2019, I had by then made some friends, and I had a friend that wanted to sell and buy. So that was 2 transactions there. And then my friend gave me 2 leads. So that was 4. So I did 4 transactions my first year. The money was great, even though I had to split the lead fees with my friend. It was still good money. The only thing was is I was gone on weekends showing houses and sometimes in the evenings showing houses. So it was really difficult because at the time my youngest daughter was around 8 years old, and then my older daughter was around 14, 15. So I was gone a lot in the weekends and the evenings, and my husband and my girls were not too happy about that. And I wasn't either. So I decided that I was going to pray about it because I needed to find something where I can be home more with them. Even though real estate agents, majority of the time, work from home, you're, again, going out showing houses as a buyer's agent a lot. So I prayed about it and I was like, God, what should I do? What should I do about this situation? And he gave me 4 words. And the 4 words were, finish what you started. And I was like, finish what you started? What does that mean? And then it hit me like, oh my gosh, I started this whole real estate license process to get my license to become a transaction coordinator. That was the whole reason that I got my license. And so with that, I let my friend know, like, hey, I want to take a break from doing real estate. I want to get into transaction coordination. Luckily, she said, well, why don't you do it for our team? We had, I think her team, she had about 4 or 5 agents, something like that. And so I started doing the transaction coordination for the team. And I really liked it. I was behind the scenes. I didn't have to work on weekends and holidays because banks and escrow companies are closed on the weekends, in regards to the banks, meaning the lenders, and as far as processing the loan, and escrows were closed on the weekends and, of course, holidays. So I really liked that. I liked that I was able to be home. I can go and pick up my daughter from school. I could do things on the weekends with the family. So that was great. So my first year was 2020, and it worked out perfect because we had decided to homeschool my younger daughter during her junior high years, and we had just pulled her out of school to homeschool her. So I was able to do that while working from home. Fast forward a year later, 2021, I was contacted by an agent that I had worked with that had moved to a different brokerage, and she told me that her brokerage that she was with currently was looking for a transaction coordinator because their transaction coordinator was retiring. So I did a Zoom call with them, and we decided to move forward, and I decided to move my license over to that brokerage. And that was an automatic, I would say 6 agents off the bat working with them. Yeah. And so I started working with them, and as time went on, I was referred by other people to brokerages and built up my clientele. And so I was looking at the numbers. I currently work with 14 agents and 6 different brokerages. Now that's kind of on the low side of a transaction coordinator. I know there's transaction coordinators that work with way more agents, but for me, this is comfortable where I'm at because I don't want to hire anybody. I only want to work by myself. And so I don't want to overdo my workload. And again, I want to be in control of my time still and not be working beyond reasonable hours. So yes, I work with, like I said, 14 agents, 6 different brokerages. The way transaction coordination works is you get paid a fee that the client, meaning your agent that you're working for, agrees to paying you, and it's a flat fee. This is a majority of TCs. I know other TCs, transaction coordinators, have different ways of getting paid, but a lot of them get paid this way where it's a flat fee. You get paid at the end of closing. by escrow. So escrow pays out from their commission. They will send me a check or they will wire me my fee. So my fees right now are $375 for a buyer from pending to close, and $475 for a listing from listing to close. And the way the $475 works is once I get the listing on the MLS, I then send my agent an invoice kind of through Venmo, and they pay me $125 for that listing. And then at the end of closing, once we go mutual with that listing, at the end of that closing, I get the other $350. So those are my fees, $375 and $475 right now. I know there are some TCs that get paid way more, like $500 to $600, which at some point I will probably raise my fees. I have raised them already once because just the economy, everything went up. And although I don't have that big of an overhead, I still contribute to the bills that we pay for our home, utilities, mortgage. I know our homeowners insurance went up, our car insurance went up. So I raised my fees about a year and a half ago. And it wasn't even by that much. So sometime in the future, I will be raising my fees again. So I wanted to just kind of give you some numbers. I was looking at what I made in 2024, which was not as much, I think, as 2023 and 2022 because, rates went up. Not as many people are selling in 2024. And so my gross income was a little over $68,000. My expenses were about $9,100, and I netted a little over $58,000. Now, again, I know in this day and age that's not that much, but again, I don't have a lot of overhead. I don't drive a lot, so my car insurance isn't as expensive because I use Metro Mile, which is a pay by mileage car insurance, pay by mileage that you drive car insurance. So I think our car insurance is typically around $180 something a month for 3 cars. Yeah, so anyways, but I love it because I have the weekends off, I have holidays off. I typically stop at 5 p.m. I do make an exception for my agents if there's an emergency where they may be driving, showing houses, or meeting with somebody and they need a form sent out. I do help them with that if they send me a text and I'm available. And they know this, and they are very respectful of my time. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I will do some more videos to show what programs I use, show you my desk setup. I have 3 monitors, which are all, I think they're about 32 inches each, because I'm constantly looking at forms from one form to another, or looking at filling out the compliance websites with the transaction information, like did it go pending, when is it closing, what is the earnest money amount. These are all different terms on a contract. So I do have 3 monitors. I don't use my printer ever. Everything's through email, everything's through uploading to compliance websites, and again, all internet-based pretty much. The other beautiful thing is when I travel, I just take my laptop with me and I take my iPad with me, which is a pretty big screen. And I use both of those screens simultaneously when I'm working away from home and I don't have my 3 monitors. So I am able to go on vacation and still work as long as there's internet available where I'm at. So for example, I do go back to California to visit my older children and grandchildren, and I'm able to, again, take my laptop and my iPad to use them both while I'm away from home. and work while I'm away from home. So it's really an amazing business. And I am an LLC. I pay my taxes at the end of actually I pay my taxes every month. I put money towards my taxes and pay every month. I have an accountant that I pay for to do my books. She tells me, in the middle of the month, okay, this is how much we're paying towards towards the IRS. And I said, okay, make the payment. And so at the end of the year, most of my taxes, if not all of my taxes, will be paid for because I set aside a certain amount that I already pay to the IRS. So yeah, being an LLC, and then I don't have to really, I'm 1099. Although nobody sends me a 1099, I just do everything out of QuickBooks. So that is what I do working from home. And if you have any questions about it or comments, you can go ahead and leave any comments or questions for me. I will go ahead and create a video soon about what my desk looks like, and then also the program I use to help me keep track of sometimes 10 to 12 transactions at a given month, in a given month. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and Happy New Year. Have a great day.